All right, here at the Loadstar 2, I'm Flight Master. And this video is for my Bulldog rocketry rocketeers, and step by step on how we're going to build the Loadstar 2 two-stage load-bearing rocket. Really fun rocket. This is the second year that we've built this rocket. It's been a success. We'll go through unpackaging and building. But here we are, completely unopened, ready to go. Rocket kit. Let's get to work. Okay. We have to make some cuts on that eventually, but here's our accessories pack. We have our engine mount rings, our fins here, balsa wood, also our decals. I believe these decals are not stickers, they are actually water slide, and I'll show you how to apply water slide. It can be a little tricky. We have our parachute, shot cord. These are end cap spacers for the engine mounts themselves, so you don't push your engine all the way through your engine mount, and then our launch tube there. So, or launch lug, excuse me. And we also have some other engine mount items there. Now here's our instructions. Look at these guys here, what it says that we need and what everything is. Scissors, pencil, ruler, sandpaper, carpenter's glue. You can use regular white glue if you have it. I do use wood glue, carpenter's glue. I think it dries a little bit harder, and it's a little bit easier to work with. We got our hobby knife, or X-Acto knife if you want to be specific. Masking tape we have, clear tape we have, and then I'm not going to worry about any of the priming. Plastic cement, you have to use a plastic cement when you attach this part here. I'm going to hold off on that. I have additional plans that I want to do, just a little different, but I'll show you guys that when we get to that part. So we got our laser cut centering rings for engine mounts. We have our this will be cut. Actually, we can probably, let's see, if we apply pressure right here, we can probably just, there it is, separate just like that. And then this guy, we can just take the X-Acto knife and cut it on that ring. I'm going to do that real fast, just so you can see how it is that I do it. Just apply a little bit of pressure, downward pressure right here. Now I'm doing is basically scoring the plastic, and like cutting down a tree, so I don't cut into my nose cone too terribly much, which is very easy to do. You cut these little nibs off right here. So I'll take just a little bit of pressure, just rocking it back and forth. Let the edge do the work for you, and you can see it's starting to pop off, and there it is. I'm just peel that piece off. That's trash. Goodbye. And there's that. Now this guy here, if you have strong fingernails, you can just push this guy out, and then it doesn't take much, as you can see, to get rid of that guy. And that's going to be obviously where the shot cord goes. If we want to do a non-payload bearing rocket, or we can do a payload bearing rocket, and which is what we're going to do. Let's see, I'm actually going to try to retrofit this guy so it will dump glitter all over everybody as the ejection charge goes off. Let's see if we can push this guy out here. No, this guy won't be able to do it, so we're going to have to cut through here. So you got to be careful when you make these cuts. Cut away from yourself, don't cut towards yourself. And this guy, same thing. You just push the edge of the blade through. Let the blade do the work for you. And obviously, be very careful when handling sharp objects. So they have a tendency to work, just not how you want them to. You know, cut your skin versus cutting your rocket. There. All right. Set those off to the side. Quick and easy. So let's step in here and look and see what it is we need. first things first, prepare the fins. They say to sand them, cut them out, and then round the leading edges, but do not round the root edges. So you can see where I got that from the last video. Even they say root and leading edge. That's just to help with aerodynamics. And obviously, if you round this edge out, the root edge, which is going to be the edge that touches the actual rocket body, if you round that out, it will not stick very well. So we're going to avoid doing that. I'm actually not going to do this step. I'm not going to sand these out. I'm just going to cut them out. And I may actually do a little bit of sandpaper here, a little bit of light sanding, just to get the little pieces of balsa that were not cut by the laser off. And then I'm going to use my tube marking guide here to help me with this part here. So we'll have to cut this square out in order to do this step. So I'll do that here in just a moment. But first, let me cut out the fins and just have them off to the side. There they are. Now, like I said, I'm just going to cut these points where the lasers didn't cut all the way through. Just like this. That's all it takes. See, even the laser didn't cut all the way through, so we'll have to go on the back side and score it just lightly. And you don't have to stick your X-Acto knife in there very far. You just want to stick far enough to what it follows the cuts that have already been made. You can hear the balsa wood separating as we cut through. That spot right there didn't even cut through at all. There. So now we know that when they're making this particular set of fins, their laser was not full power. So that we got this whole section here that just wasn't cut all the way through. All right, that's it. We'll hold on to that. We'll use it later. Let's see here. Now this is actually a stand for your launch tube, your launch lug. When you cut this out, you'll have to glue this onto your launch lug. So don't think that that's not important, because it is. I did a better job with this one. As you can tell, it was a lot easier. Now, if you look at something here, these are not the same fins, okay? It's going to play into, when you build this rocket, which fins go where. Okay. My understanding, if I remember correctly, this fin, the one we just cut out, is going to be the main body tube. This fin is going to be for the first stage. So this will be the main body tube, this will be for that first stage. And you can see the size difference in these. Okay. So make sure when you cut these out, you keep them together but apart. So you have all the same fins together. You don't want to glue the wrong fin to the wrong piece, throw off the aerodynamics of your rocket, and this thing starts spinning out of control, as these rockets have a tendency to do. I always hold it like I'm holding a pencil. Don't need to full grip it. You want to be able to use it, finesse it. So we'll just light sanding on these parts here. I'm not going to worry about sanding these edges down. I just want to get rid of these little nubs. And then I'll go ahead and cut this guy out and set this off to the side. So when we get to the part that we're putting our launch lug on. But we'll have to sand those off too, so it sits nice and flush with the rocket body. Put that to the side, save it for later. That's a piece of cork, by the way. The teacher that I work with, he brought some corks in, and we cut them in half. It holds the entire blade inside, and it's a good spot to keep your X-Acto knife off to out of the way, so you can work around it and not worry about cutting yourself. So when I do this, I like to put all my fins together and just a couple of light drags across the sandpaper. Leave the sandpaper down, and I'll just drag my fins across it. Try to get them flat and level, which, you know, to the best of one's ability. 5 blows, and there it is. Just want to get those little pieces off. As you can hear and count, 5 pulls across, and it's done. Get this guy, since it's right here. This one still has a little bit right there. A couple extra passes. There we go. A little bit more right there. Better. Okay. Fins are sanded adequately. Get this out of the way. Now, my favorite part. Now, if you remember from the last video, I put the glue directly on my cutting board. It's actually right here, and this stuff just pops up. It's nothing you have to be all concerned about. So I'm gonna do it again. That will probably be enough glue to build this entire rocket right there. And meanwhile, I think I'll go ahead and get my glue applicator. That's it. That's all I need right there. Nothing special. All right. Next, we're going to make our marks on the fin, so we need to cut this guy right here out. If you look, we're going to be losing this section over here. Not a big deal. Not worried about cutting it perfectly straight, square, because the lines will be the same either way, as long as they're lined up correctly. That's all that matters. Even if they're not, sometimes it's fun to experiment. Try something different. Okay, so take this guy, pick an end, any end. I'm gonna pick this end right here. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line up those hash marks, just like that. Now, you can tape this if you really want to. Don't have to. You can just hold on to it as long as you keep your grip. That's it right there. That's all you gotta do. And then what matters next is up to you and how you want to do it. I'm just gonna take my pencil here. I'm just gonna make a mark. Let's say right here, right here. Okay. And then I'm just gonna work my way around. I'm gonna hold on to that paper so it stays in the same spot. Okay. Just like this. Now, all you need to note is that this is your launch lug line right here, okay? So I can put like a little L right there, so I know that that's the launch lug. All these other ones are fins. It's a fin line right there. Okay, so slide that guy off. We're gonna do it on this small one right here too. These are the same diameter tubes, so a little bit of finesse. We can just move this guy right over. Come on, cooperate. Doesn't want to play? We can fix that. Peel that tape off. Slowly so don't tear that paper. I'll do this again. Line up our hash lines. Like that. There we go. Same thing with this one. Doesn't matter where you put it because they're going to line up once you attach these two together. So as long as they're hold on to the paper. Okay. That's it. And there's my launch plug. Alright. Now, using my tube marking guide here. Now these, if you look, are larger in size than the last body tube that we built for the Alpha. So we're actually going to be using the opposite side. Remember, this thing's marked out for anything that's less than 60, anything greater than 60, or anything 5 to 20, and then this side's 50 to 55 right here. I believe these are going to be 50s, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to stick, see the lines that we just made right there. All I'm going to do is just connect the dots. Let's roll till I see a line, and then connect the dots. There it is. Just like that. I get pretty gratuitous with my lines. They don't have to be super duper thin because you're going to be covering them up anyways. You just want to make sure you can see them. Give yourself something to work with. And that's it. Okay, so you can see the lines there. Same thing on this one. Right, there's the launch lug line right there. Now, that launch lug line may end up being drawn out a little bit more because of the position that they put the launch lug in. It'll be along that line, and we can continue that line as we need to. I really like this tool. It makes this part so much easier. Okay, and there it is. Okay, they're actually a little crooked now. Look at them. Where are they? Yep, that's all right. We have a basic premise. That'll actually cause some twist on our rocket if the, you see that line is actually off between those two. So we can, if you want, Try again. That's better. All right. Next, we're going to cut out our spacer rings, make some marks on our engine tube mount, and then we're going to start gluing those rings on, okay? And then end cap, we're going to let those dry. So that's the distances our rings need to be. And you can see they're saying from where the end cap goes in. That's the distances that we need. So when we mark this, all right, at 3/4 inch right there, see there's a 3/4 inch. It's going to be from the back end, they say. So we're going to measure everything from the back. So let's choose a back. How about that? That's the back end. To help us remember that, I'm going to go ahead and glue my green ring on. Okay. So that way we never forget which end is the end. And that's it right there. Okay. And then if you need help, that's what this tube is for, is to help you push that guy in or keep that thing level. So I can set him down and make sure it's level. But first we got to pop him out, put some glue in there. Let's do that. Okay. And how are we going to get the glue in there? Handy dandy glue applicator. All right, now see how that's getting a little chunky? That's what we want, a little tackiness right there, right? What we're gonna do is just take this guy. It doesn't matter how deep it goes in, because we actually want it right there along that inner surface. And what will end up happening is we take this guy and push him in there. He's going to push all that glue up and in, just like that. And so you have a little bit exposed there. Set this guy down and just push down, and that's going to set it flush, which is what you want, just like that. And then on the inside, you might be able to see that glue ring on the inside there. It's that edge. We want that. This guy here, I'm going to take and apply a little bit on the outside right there. That's going to help keep it from popping out. And I'm not going to use a whole lot of pressure because I don't want to push it any further into the body of the rocket tube here. I'm doing that tube. All I'm doing is painting this glue on, just to kind of help it cement in. Just like that. You can run the excess glue off the edges just by running against this edge. Okay. All right. Now we know that's our back end. We need 3/4 of an inch, or, and I like to use the centimeters personally, 19 millimeters. Okay. So with that glue even in there like that, I can run this guy out to 19, which is that line right there. And with my pencil inside the tube marking guide, I can just make a little mark, just like that. And I know approximately where the 19 millimeter line is. Doesn't have to be exact, just gotta be close enough. And the other one is 5.1 centimeters or 51 millimeters. So we'll run this out to 51, which is right there. And we'll do it again. That's it. Okay, it's 51. It's 1.5 inches, and that's 19 millimeters, which is 3/4 of an inch. All right. I'm sorry, 2 inches, and then 3/4 of an inch. But as you can see there, our glue is still in there. Our end cap is in there, flush still, and that guy's nice and marked out. So put this guy off to the side. We're going to apply glue right in here, and then we're going to put our spacers on both sides. Okay, so if you look and see how they have the glue line, or that line that we made is right there at the edge of that. So that way when you push this thing on, it'll push that glue up, and it'll get a good coverage along those surfaces where that line is. Okay, so let's get our spacers of our accessory bag here. So this is one spacer, right? There's the second one right here. There's our second spacer. Why? Because we have two different engines. This is a two-stager, so we'll have two different engines in here. One will be probably going to be a B6-0, which means it has zero delay between the ejection charge and when the engine is done burning all its propellant. And this one will probably be a B6-5, which means there's a 5-second delay between the ejection charge and when the engine is done burning its propellant. If you need more information on how all that works, find Estes' website. They've got a lot of information. Now you can go through and cut these out like we do our fins, but because this is paper, it's a little bit easier to work with, and just push them out. Do it delicately, that way you don't tear anything, because this is just basically pressed paper, and it will come apart if you push too hard. Now, see, they've got a little cutout here. If you were using a engine that or had a hook, you would the hook would go over this part here. But since we don't have any hooks, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to put them on either which way we want. Now, this also has little nibs on there, just so I have good connection. I'm going to just sandpaper this off just lightly, just so I don't have to worry about little nibs getting in the way. And then this will help when it comes time to put the engine in, the engine mount into the body tube. These won't get hung up on your cardboard and could potentially mess things up. Just a little light, a little bit of house cleaning. I don't really worry about the inside so much. It's the outside's the ones I'm worried about. We'll do that. Go ahead and do both sets just so we have them available. And these are the same size, so you can have, it doesn't matter, you can put those two together and these two together. If you're one of those types like me who, you know, a little OCD and like the way things look, you can have whether the same or not. It's up to you entirely. However you want to do it. It's your rocket. Build it how you want to. Follow the instructions. They'll get you there, and then, you know, if you've got a little bit of experience, do something different. Experiment, learn. That's it right there. Okay. So we're going to take our glue applicator. We're going to take our tube. There's the back end. We're going to apply some glue all around this edge right here. Now, it's not going to take a lot, so all we're going to do is we're going to take that guy there and just spread them out. Okay. The reason I like to put my glue out like that is I like to keep the weight in my rocket down and achieve higher heights. The more glue you have, the more rocket's going to weigh. The more your rocket weighs, obviously the lower in altitude you're going to get. And as you can see, I didn't do a perfect circle all the way around. It doesn't have to be, because when you slide your ring on up to that line, it's going to smear and push that glue up with it, just like that. Okay, and I'll play with it just a little bit, make sure that it's nice and even, and then we'll do the roll test and see if it rolls well. That's it right there. And what we'll do is we'll spread that out a little bit. We'll put some more on the back side so we have a good solid platform. Let's put a little bit more glue on this side here, so you can get that nice film going on your rocket tube there and your glue. Now, I'm touching up here. It's a little tacky, but the end cap is staying in place, which is great. See, more is not necessarily better in using glue with model rockets. How much can you get done with the least amount of glue? That's what you want. Okay, so go and grab this guy here. See, I've got those two guys. Find my line, which is right there. You can kind of see it. I'm just going to take this guy and push it to that line, just like that. Now, the roll test, right? When you roll it, without rolling it into the glue, can you tell if whether or not these guys are even? And I can tell this guy isn't. So now I'm going to find out where it's not. Just a one-eyed squint test there. This guy there. Alright, that's about good right there. So now I'm going to apply glue to that outer edge right here. I think I'll actually let these dry a little bit before I do that, because I don't want any of the pressure to throw this thing off axis. Obviously, we want this thing as straight as possible, because the straighter that it is, the better our flight pattern will be, because if it's off kilter, it's going to fly at an off angle. Okay, so assemble engine mount, right? We did that. Boom. So now they want us to go ahead and glue the fins onto the body tube. That's the booster stage, so it's going to be that smaller one, right? So G is the fin pattern. And you're like, well, which one's G? If you go back to the front page and you look, it'll tell you which one's G and which one's H based off of the angles. So if you look here, that one's kind of a more steep angle, and this one is not so steep. So this is going to be the booster fin here. So I had it backwards. This will be the booster fin, and this one is going to be your main body tube fins. Okay. So grab our booster fins and grab our booster fin body tube right there, and we'll get started. So there we go. Up here, using glue. You see they show you, apply glue to the root edge of the fin, line up. They say it needs to go back 5/8 of an inch or 16 millimeters back from the back end of the body tube. Okay. I'll actually take my body tube and I'll mark it at the 16 millimeter line. So handy dandy marking guide here. So there's 10 and then 15. So 16 is that little line right there. Grab our pencil. I'll bring it down a little bit here. Put our body tube in, and we'll push this guy up just a smidge. A little bit more. Okay. So there's our 16 millimeter line right there. So when we put our fins on, we're going to put our fins on to where they're 16 millimeters back off of that from the bottom here, which is that line, and we'll lay them onto the body tube. So here we go. Now the reason we're doing like this, so we're going to take a little step forward here. Look at the angle of the fins on this body tube, right? This back here is going to be where your engine goes into. Okay, you can see how they're applying glue on the inside with the stick. All right, and they put the engine mount we just built into there. On this other side here is where the coupler is going to go, which is this guy here. Okay, so this guy will sit on this end, and this guy will come in this end. What we're going to do is, you see they say mark it 5/8 of an inch, 16 millimeters. I can tell you right now that's exactly half. Okay, it's a halfway point on this. And that line you want, because we're going to glue it into this side here. Okay, so but the other half will not be glued because we want to put it into the body of the rocket. I'm going to push that in. It's not going to stay. Let's see if I can finagle it. Okay, so the rockets will sit like that, and then the fin lines will line up. See how they line up? Okay. But we want to glue this part in, and then we'll glue that guy into here. But first, we're going to put the fins on. So the fins are going to sit like this. All right. And it's important to remember that, because if we get our fins backwards, fins, when we put this body tube on, will hit the other fins, and then our rocket will not be stable. So instead, I'm going to flip it around. Now, if you want to be cheeky, and you know what, I think I'm going to try that. Try it. See what you think. So you'll have your fins touching like this. That would be a pretty cool design. We'll see. So we're going to do it this way. So, need some glue, need our stick applicator. This is going to be our root edge, right? I'm just going to paint this guy on right here, just like this. Just draw it down. Conserve glue, plus you don't have so much glue that this thing can't dry. That's it, just like that. I can take this guy here, find that bottom edge, right? And I'm going to put it right on that corner and walk it right up that line. Just like that. Doing it that way, it fell over. Doing it that way, it has a tendency, I want to say it now, I know it just fell over, to stick better. Okay. Just like this. Okay. Now, we're going to set it, see if it'll balance. It won't. That's all right. Let's see. Best way to balance this guy. Just like that. Looking at the counter here, 37 minutes into this video while we're getting our fins on. So you can see the approximate amount of time you should be able to do it without me having to explain things, draw things out. And do it again right here. That line, that fin just does not want to participate. Too much glue, probably. Yep. Now we're having a glue issue, right? It's okay. That's all right. Happens. Embarrassingly, but it happens. A little bit of air to help. Not participating. Now, there are devices out there that will help with keeping your fins on. So we can do them. We're just having a mess on me. It's alright if I can build it while having a mess. You can build it, no problem. Okay. There they are. Let's see if we can let it set for just a minute. Now this glue, see, it's already kind of dried out. Just going to spread it down. We won't get so zealous and try to do all of our fins at once. make sure it's. Let's see if we can get a little bit more cooperation with this. Sideways test is going to stay. Nope. So let's just slow our roll. Just let it dry. Oh, fun. Now, since that guy's doing that, this one should be sufficient enough that we can add glue to those back ends. So we'll do that real fast. Okay. Just going to fill in these gaps. Coverage there, good. There's coverage here, good. No. All right. Do that. How's this guy looking? Sideways test. These are a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier than the last group of balsa wood that we had. But over here, I'll go ahead and put the next one on. What is this other guy? Either. Good. And lastly, my friend here. Put it. Now see, there's our LL. Oh, there's the fan. Set that guy there. Yeah, this glue. Oh, these fins were so much heavier than the last ones. Glue's having a hard time keeping up. So we're going to hold it vertically onto this fin. That'll work. And I'm going to set this guy down and let the too much pressure. Now, if you get to the point where you just cannot get this thing to cooperate, you can one of the things I like to do is make it a little tower here. I'll show you actually, I can do it this way. This is what it's going to do there. I can take this guy and set him on here and try to balance him out so it sits flush. That way we're not putting any pressure on those fins and they can dry appropriately. I'm just going to do a quick tap to make sure that they are straight. Respects the light too, and this guy actually looks a little off, but you know what? That's all right. Let them dry. That'll work. Okay. So next we're gonna have to put in the body tube. Let's get to that page. There it is. We will wait for our fins to dry. So while our fins are drying, we're going to go and do the next body tube. Okay. And same thing, we're basically going to recreate that with this guy here and our other rings. So let's get our rings. There's our end spacer. And now we're going to have to make lines. Same thing, 3/4 of an inch and then 2.5 inches. So if you look here, 3/4 of an inch from the back. Let's see if we can get this in spot. 3/4 of an inch from the front now, because there's our spacer. That's the green little spacer guy, right? It's right there. So from the front now, 3/4 of an inch from the front, 19 millimeters, and 6.4 centimeters or 64 millimeters from the front is where this other spacer is going to go, right? And then this guy's going to go in. Now, how far is that green guy going to go in? Well, let's see what it says. We need to make a 10 millimeter mark on our yellow tube here. And what we do is we're going to push that this yellow tube into that 10 millimeter mark. And we're going to do it this way here. I'll find my 10 millimeter line there. Good. Put that guy in. And then I'm just going to take and just run. So there's my 10 millimeter line. So we're going to put the green guy in. We're going to take him, we're going to push it all the way into that line right there, just like that. Glue. Some errant glue. Get out of there. All right. So let's make the marks on here. We need 19 and 64 millimeters. So 10, 20, there's 19. And we'll say that this will be the front. There's 19 right there. Okay. That's ugly. And then 64 millimeters. 65, 4. So that's the front, right? There's this guy. Just like that. And there's our 64 millimeter line right there. 1964. So let's put some glue on there. There's that film I was talking about. That's what you want to see. That's good stuff. Glue is working. So let's mute that. So we don't have to hear anymore. There we go. See how stringy that is? That's good stuff. Now I probably will have to add some extra glue. That's a big skin. Same thing on this side. Put it over here on this end here. So, and if you want to line up the holes, you can do that. I just like to make sure that this thing is nice and straight. Okay. Yeah, looks like it. Alright. Let's look at our fins here. See how they are faring. Looks like they're drying nicely. We'll have to add more glue to the fillets on each side, which we will do. Let's get much slower down the way. This guy here, just so it's out of the way. And I'm almost out of battery. Look at that already. All right, I'm gonna pause the camera here, and then we'll be back in just a minute. All right.